Good morning again, everyone, and welcome back to the KSR YouTube channel. Been seeing a lot of comments asking about this El Camino, so today we're going to go over what it is, what powers it, why it was in the shop, who owns it, what the goals are for this car. So let's get to it. All right, so while you're here, please subscribe to the channel, give us a like, give us a comment, and hit the notification bell. I try to get in there and respond to as many of the comments as I can, especially when you guys ask questions about, you know, what we're doing or, you know, why we did something. Try to get on there and help everybody as much as I can. But let's get to this awesome El Camino we've got here in the shop. This El Camino is owned by Ralph. And as you can tell, she's pretty. I mean, kind of started life show car, street car, and now you see it's got some roll bar in it. Well, this thing's fast enough to need a roll bar. So Ralph does quite a bit of bracket racing with it. All right, so it is powered by a big block Chevrolet. It's actually a 396 or a 402 because it's been bored out a little bit. But it has a hydraulic roller camshaft in it, some Edelbrock heads. We dyno tuned it here on the dyno after I built the engine. I think it's been 3 years ago now that we built the engine. You can see it's got power steering on it. It also is the Hydro Boost for the brakes. And a nice March serpentine setup on it. A lot of this work under here, Ralph did all himself. All the AC stuff and the pulleys and the fuel system plumbing. We handled kind of the technical stuff of, you know, getting the engine tuned and little things like that. This car is actually run, so I believe some low 730s or possibly even tickled into the 720s in the 8th mile. And that is getting down probably 1130 in the quarter mile. And when you go below 1149 in the quarter mile, you need to have a roll bar and 5-point harnesses and a fire jacket. Lots of things change at 1149 now in the NHRA. So we just did a roll bar in the thing, and on any of these cars that have a full-size frame underneath them, you have to land the roll cage on the frame itself. So you can't just make a plate and weld it to the body. Tell that's not very strong. So this bar, you can see we cut a window out here. We go through the frame, land the roll bar directly on the frame, and then we made a patch panel. You can see we kind of we mimicked the floor reliefs when we made the patch panels. And we also did these little pieces here, and he may narrow these up a little bit. They're held in just with one rivet, but this gives somewhere for the window to land on, so you can just have a U in the back Lexan window, and you don't have to worry about trying to get your Lexan to fit underneath this. Usually these end up being at the top in like a truck. Normally they end up on the top of the window, and then you slide the Lexan up underneath it. But the way the back of this car is angled so much, you actually can't even see the roll bar once you get down low enough. But the way the back window is angled so much, it ended up being that they made more sense to be on the lower bracket or on the lower part of the windshield frame. All right, so inside here, oh, blue lights. You see where we did kind of the same thing. This is part of how I do my my roll cages, in roll cages, even roll bars. This is a 150 thousandths wall, 3.5 inch tubing, and then we did a plate on the top of it for the roll bar to land on top to do. So basically an extension of the frame. And the reason I do that is so that you guys can see just how tight I've got the roll bar fit here. I mean, I can't even get a finger in it. It is extremely tight up against the roof of the car. And by doing this, it makes it a lot easier. What I do is I only tack weld this plate to the top of the mount. And once we get the roll bar fitted, what we do is we break the tack, the roll bar falls down, and we can roll it forward and then fully weld this joint right here. And when we do that, we don't risk burning the headliner, and we can get a nice weld on it because it's all TIG welded. Same with our joint back here, all TIG welded all the way around for the seat back brace. And I also do some little guides for the seat belts. I prefer to have the shoulder harnesses where they wrap around the harness bar. It's one of my things. I've always been a better fan of that than running the belt through a tab, and you figure it's pulling the belt tight over 1/4 of an inch rather than wrapping the entire thing around the bar. And the shoulder belts arguably take the most load, where your upper body is going up against the shoulder belts. So I prefer to make the belt as strong as I possibly can. So I like wrapping the seat belt around the bar. I just feel like it's better. But you can see we did some door swing outs. And another little trick that I do is the bar is set up to where it actually swings and swings up instead of swinging flat or even swinging down. Makes it easier when you're sitting in the car to just reach over and grab this when it's not way down at the door, way down hanging low. And as long as you plan ahead for it and do both tabs the same, you don't have any problem with that. Another little trick that I do when you do a swing out bar, this bar is not very well supported when it's welded to just to the floor. So I do a little extra gusset that just goes from here, and then there's a bolt over here in the door jamb that slides in and tightens that. Little tricks of the trade. Use them if you want. If not, we'll keep using them. But this thing got some weld drag lights on it, big and littles. Very old school, but the whole car fits the part. And it does have a carburetor on it still, which I actually got started myself tuning carburetors, and learning how to do that really helped me out with my fuel injection tuning. But let's go take a peek under this thing and we'll show you some other work that we did, and then we'll wrap this video up. So another thing we did while this thing was here, we put a TRZ anti-roll bar in the car. You can see he's already got TRZ control arms. They've got some dust on them. They've been in here a while. But we upgraded to a TRZ anti-roll bar because he's wanting to get a little more serious, go a little faster. Basic combination, but it works really well. And while we're under here, you can see, if you look up there, you can see the discoloration where the plate for the roll cage got welded to the upper shock mount. So that ties all of that together. And you can see he's got a big 3-inch stainless steel exhaust. Most of the time he runs his cutouts open, so he may be, in his quest to go faster, he may be taking off these mufflers, try and lose some more weight. You guys can see we are on the scale pads. And yep, we weighed it before and after the roll cage installation, or the roll bar installation. How much do you guys think we added with the roll bar and the TRZ anti-roll bar installation? I'll go get my computer while you guys think about it. right, time for some data. So in my program, my scales are wireless. So it uses my laptop to do all the recording, and you can see we've got, you know, years of data recorded, different cars. But here's our weight before. This is no driver, just the weight of the car. Yeah, she's a big girl. She's a big girl. 35, 36. And then, what'd you guess? What'd you guess? 35, 36. Oh, don't play like that. Be right back. All right, so I forgot to hit record when I had the scales on a minute ago. So 36, 16. So let's go back to recall. 35, 36. What's that, 180 pounds? Yeah, 180 pounds. So when you only do a roll bar in a car, you have to use 1 3/4 by 120. I think by 120 is the NHRA minimum spec, minimum thickness spec. So that's what this tubing is in this car. It's DOM. I don't use any of the ERW cheap thick wall mild steel because the wall thickness waves is not as consistent as DOM or chromoly. So I always use DOM in my roll cages and roll bars. And that's where we ended up settling for. You know, you've got the main hoop, and then the bar that goes out and back around, the seats for the harness bars, the door bars, which this stuff adds some extra weight than if it was just the bar. You know, these are solid steel here. Obviously a big thick solid tab. Those things add probably total 5 pounds to the roll cage. But then I said cage. See, I'm guilty of it too. Add 5 pounds to the roll bar. You can also use those on cages. So yeah, that's what I was thinking about. So anyway, between the roll bar and the TRZ anti-roll bar, 180 pounds, 3616. So with driver in the car, figure 180 pound driver. Ooh, that is 3,800 pounds going down the track. So the old big block makes some pretty good power. I'm sure you guys want to hear it run, right? Let's do that. Let's see if this camera will stay right here. block. She's pretty sporty. Sounds good, huh? All right. All right, so to offset the weight somewhat of all the roll bar and the anti-roll bar installation, Ralph decided to get him something that will actually take a lot of weight off of this style car, and that is a new fiberglass hood. And he went with one with a little bit of a cowl on it, you can see, and more so than the cowl he's got on there. I think that one is a 2-inch, and this one I believe is a 4, but so much lighter than the factory ones. And even this is a heavy fiberglass hood, but so much lighter than that heavy steel thing. All right, well, that's Ralph's big block Chevrolet El Camino. I know it's 71 or 72, just based off the headlights. Some of you Chevelle experts probably know more than me about that. I'll go Google this after I'm done with this video, and then I'll know what it is. But some of you were asking which year this thing was. I think it's a 71, but she's pretty. I'm anxious to see how it does at the track. We when we did the engine, it had a big block Chevrolet in the thing, obviously. And when we went through it and freshened it, made a few small changes, moved the cam around a little bit and increased the compression a little bit, and it really picked up a whole lot more than we thought it was going to. It was running like mid 12s before, I think, maybe 1230s was his best ever in really good air. And now it's been, I know it's been solid deep into the 11s, maybe 11, I think 1130 something is his best, but it's beaten that 8th mile time in cooler weather. It's beaten that 8th mile time by, I think, almost a 10th. So it should be somewhere down 1120s when the air is really good. Most of the bracket races around here are all 8th mile. So the only time you really get a chance to run quarter miles if you go to a test and tune or something else like that. But that's gonna wrap up this video. Appreciate everybody watching and subscribing. A little bit shorter than our normal videos, but a lot of you were asking about the El Camino. And that's it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.